Welcome guys to another video, and in this video I'm going to be showing you how to pass CompTia A+ Core 2. So for my personal experience, I've gotten done the A+, the Network Plus, and soon the Security Plus I'll be taking this month. So I assume that if you're watching this video, you're either taking A+ Core 2 soon, or maybe you haven't taken anything yet and you just want to get some insight on how to pass this exam. A+ Core 1 to me is really the external of the computer. So parts of the computer like the motherboard, the memory, the RAM, knowing different wires like the Ethernet, things like that is what Core 1 is all about. For Core 2 or Part 2, it's going to be more the internal. So it's going to be about knowing different commands in the command prompt, or knowing the different types of window additions that you can install, or knowing different programs that Windows offers you. These are the things that you need to get down and be comfortable with. For me, I felt like Part 2 was a lot easier. I grew up learning Linux and playing around in the command prompt and knowing how different things worked. And that's what I was comfortable with. So when I took this exam, Part 2 to me was very, very easy. I actually struggled more with Part 1. So some things that I can give you to take away with for Part 2 on what to study and to know. You want to know your ports. I mentioned this in the Part 1 video, but in Part 2, I got a lot of questions asked on what port goes to which thing. So you want to understand not only the name of the port and the number, but also what is it doing when you're using this port, what's happening. You really want to understand how it works, not just what it is. So know your ports. Another thing, a big thing, is the commands. You need to know not only the commands for Windows, but also Linux. So be comfortable with the commands. And again, understand them. Don't just know them. You need to understand, hey, how do I create a file in the command prompt and then move it? You might be asked some questions or even a performance-based question in the exam where you have to use these commands. So knowing your commands is one of the biggest parts to passing this exam. Another big thing that I mentioned earlier are window programs. They're going to say, hey, this is a Windows registry program. What can you do in this? Or what program is used to look at resources and monitor them, like say your network on your PC. You need to know what program goes to which thing, and again, understand it, not just know it. I've said that multiple times, but it's just really important because you know how CompTia is for those who have taken the exams. They like to trick you with wordplay. And if you don't really understand something and you just barely know it, that might be the difference on passing or not passing the exam. So know your ports, know your different commands, know your different window programs. There are some other things that you really need to know, but I think those are the big takeaways for the exam, the three big takeaways. I'm gonna, after this video, show you guys a little bit of some notes that I have when I was taking the exam, and I'm gonna lightly go over them. They're notes that I took from Professor Messer. He's a great YouTube resource for studying for this A+. Mike Myers is another great resource to use. Personally, I used Mike Myers for Core 1 for the A+, but then for Part 2 or Core 2, I used Professor Messer. I found that his videos, especially with just refreshing my mind with commands, were just straight to the point and helpful. So after this video, again, I'll go over some of my notes, which will hopefully help you. If you guys would like me to maybe make like little miniature practice exams for you guys and go over each answer choice, I can do that too in the near future. Just let me know in the comments what you want to see from me. And again, if you have any questions, I'll try to get to them as soon as possible. So thank you for watching this video, and let's go on to looking at the notes. So welcome guys. This is again my old CompTia A+ notes that I took before I did the exam. Luckily for me, I took multiple different notes of the A+, and also I even edited my notes after I passed the exam. So these should all be up to date, fresh, and correct, hopefully for the most part. So I basically just list just a few things that will be on the exam, and they're things that you should know. I also, as you read and go through the notes with me, you'll see some things I highlighted or I noted, please understand and know for the test. So really look at those as well. So just going through it real quickly, I start off with the different specs of Windows 10 compared to Windows 11. For the exam, you don't need to know Windows 7. You used to, but luckily they updated the test, so you're good. Going further down, I talk about the different editions for Windows you can get. This is something that you should know, should be an easy study, right? So I put right here, all you really need to know is the order they go into, which is Home. Home is the edition you probably have. Every retailer, when you go to buy a computer, they're going to have the Home edition. It's just the standard. And then from Home, there's the Pro edition, the Enterprise edition, and lastly, the Education for Windows. So know what you get with each edition and what you don't. You don't get BitLocker for Home, which is sad, and just know these differences. They're really good to know. I kind of mentioned here again, Windows 7 not going to be on there, don't need to know it, but definitely know Windows 8 up to Windows 11, which is current. Know your different boot methods. So okay, you're starting up from a USB, or maybe you're old school and using a CD, Pixie. This is really good to know if you're going into the education system, because if you're in the education system, with being an IT, you might do like computer installments and deployments. So it's really good to know Pixie. Then after that, I kind of just mentioned the type of installments you can have. So you can have an in-place upgrade. This is kind of where it's just booting up and it's upgrading from inside the computer, so to speak, software-wise. It's an in-place upgrade. Or you can do a clean Windows install. This is like making the computer fresh, almost like when you first bought the computer. So know these different types of installs. They're going to be really good to know for the exam. Another huge thing to really note, and I probably should have said at the start of the video too, is disk partitioning. Really get this down. This will probably be a make or break possibly to you passing the exam. You need to know the different types of partitioning on your computer and also how to do this. Really know how to do this. There's lots of videos explaining, especially in Mike Meyer's video. He has a really good video where he breaks it down. You want to know how to do this because you might end up with a performance-based question, and they might want you to perform a disk partition. Of course, I highlighted it in red, really important. Know your storage types, of course, that's really good. This ties in with the partitioning that's mentioned previously before this. Know about your different type of file allocations. All right, so you have like exFAT, APFS, that's dealing with Mac OS. You want to know these differences and what they're linked to. The next big chunk is know your different commands, right? So you want to know window commands as well as Linux. I think in another file, not this one. Oh, I did. Okay, never mind. I did put some Linux commands here too. Know, again, your commands for Linux and Windows, because they're going to ask you on both. And in regards to the Windows commands, you can see I put here, know this big time for the exam. Know these ones right here. All the net or the NS lookup or netstat, know all these different network commands. They are going to be huge on the exam. You're at least going to have a few questions off these alone. So really study and know these, know how to type them in, and not only that, right, but what they do. I'm going to leave these notes for you guys to look at, of course, in the description. I'll probably put the other pair of notes I have as well with this. And I'm going to put some YouTube links to some videos you can use to study or make flashcards off with, so you can study and best be prepared. Hopefully this video makes you feel more confident and you feel ready to take this test. I wish you guys the best of luck. Let me know in the comments where you're at with this, or if you passed. I would love to hear your experience and where you're at in the journey. Thank you for watching and have a nice day.